episode of the O2 Garage, and we're here with our latest project car, the WH Statesman. And in the last episode you saw that we did the swap, and in this episode we're going to get stuck into it because all project cars have got to start somewhere, and it starts right now. Now, every project car normally is all filled with the adventure of, oh, let's make more power and let's modify it and let's do all that. I've always subscribed to something a little bit different, being a mechanic from many decades ago. A car like this one here really needs us to go front to back. And we're going to start by obviously going through the car and checking things out, making sure everything on the car works and identifying everything that doesn't work. And since the last video, I can tell you that we've popped different oil in the car. The car was drained of oil and it was supposed to have over 5.5 litres, and it ended up only having 3 litres of oil in it, so it was down nearly 2.5 litres of oil. The exhaust gaskets have been fixed up as well, just here in the midsection, so it's nice and quiet. The engine's quiet, it's running a lot better than what it is, but the journey just begins there. Inside, we've cleaned over everything, so it's neat and clean inside, and I've had a good look around the body and it's not too bad. The boot's been cleaned out as well, but stop number 1 on the journey of bringing this car back to 100% is this little guy right here. It's an OBD2 port checker. We're going to put that in, find out if it's got any codes, find out what they are, and start fixing everything up from there. Let's go. Alright, that's awesome news. Just had a look here, and it's not saying that there is any fault codes currently registered with the car. Now, I do know there's an airbag light on, but it hasn't come up as an OB fault code, but I think the airbag is actually got to do with maybe, potentially, the clock spring, because look, the horn's not working. So I've got a feeling I've got to dig a little bit deeper. There is also an issue, I know, that airbags on this car, the light can go on when you've got this problem. Seat moves backwards and forwards, and there's a couple of bushes inside that wear, and that causes that, and they have seatbelt tensioner issues and stuff like that. So I think what we need to do now is address some of the problems that I do know is wrong with the car and keep moving forward from there. One of the first things I want to do outside the car is get the headlights done. Now, that may not sound like something that needs to be fixed up, but it's more of a preventative measure than anything else. The car looks really good, it's cleaned up really nicely, but the headlights let it down. They've got that fading on the front of them, and it can be an issue. You can actually get done and defected by having lights like that. So I've done it a few times. It's nice and simple. All you need is some of this, some toothpaste, you need some polish, you need a bit of water, and you need one of these here, and you get stuck into it, do it properly, and you're good to go. All right, let's have a look and see how we went. Not too bad at all. I used a little bit of the old Colgate whitening, advanced whitening. That's obviously the one I've just done. Let's have a look at what they used to look like. Whoa, look at that. Look at that heavy wear all the way around there. And you can see the difference between the two. This one here has come up a lot better. Let's get stuck into the second one. All right, well, I pulled the seat out from the driver's side, and you can see the noise is coming through because there's movement in these washers right here. It's a pretty common problem, and what you need to do is either tighten them up or take them off and pad them out so they actually sit and locate correctly. So that's what we're going to do. So the seat problem with the Statesman is a common problem, and what it is, it's a washer that looks like this, and you can see it's quite flat, but it used to look like that. This is like a suspension bush. It has a piece that comes down the side here, and so that there needs to be replaced, and that's what gives it the movement, and it drives you nuts when you're coming up to stop. You slide forward and back. So a bit of creative license on my behalf, and I've now got to create a bush. And after some cutting and playing around, here is my creative solution. I've got myself some old Nolithane suspension bushes. They are the right size, so it's a matter of just lopping a little bit off the edge. Let's get them in and let's get the seat back in. Next up on the journey is this little guy right here. This is a rocker cover from the LS, and they are absolutely notorious for leaking, especially around this part of the rocker cover. Now, I've pulled it off and had a look. There's a little bit of sludge inside of it, nothing that isn't to be acceptable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a quick clean up, change the gaskets, give it a coat of paint at the same time for a bit of action. Okay, so our rocker cover is now cleaned up and ready to go. You can see that looks pretty cool. and my attention now turns to the little retainer bolts that sit through the rocker cover and go into the cylinder head. Now these little guys here, and as you can see this one here is quite dirty and disgusting. What happens is they can be a big source of leaking with LS motors, because this is what happens. They become really brittle, the rubber, and you can see it just breaks. And that happens over time with heat. And so what you want to do is you want to just spend a little bit of extra time getting it cleaned up. And as you can see the difference between those two there, that's the new one. Get the shaft, get all that little carbon deposits and so forth off, because that's a place where it can leak as well. So a little bit extra time getting those sorted up. Now it's time to give it a paint. When it comes to choosing a colour to paint cars with, there's obviously different people have different tastes, and hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I have got 3 lots of high temp paint here in the O2 garage. I've got red, I've got blue, and I've got pink. There is absolutely no reason for me to paint that car engine pink, so I'm not going to use that. However, I've got blue and I've got red. Now I could go with blue, not bad, pretty good, that would work, or I could go with red. The reason I'm going to go with red is because red is V8, red is sporty, and red looks good on an engine, because that's what you need to do. You need to make it look good, because if you're not going to keep it and you're going to sell it, think about what other people are going to want. Red it is. And the engine bay is done, and I think you'll agree that looks a lot neater and cleaner with the painted rocker covers. Everything's been washed and cleaned down, given a little bit of silicone spray just to present it nicely, and also tidied up some of the wiring as well. And that's all we're going to do for this engine bay, because it really, for a standard engine, doesn't need anything else than that. I pulled the back wheels off and I've popped it up on axle stands, because the rear end here has got a bit of a noise in it, and you saw me just bashing those wheels off. It's been a while since these wheels are off, so I've got to clean up these hub faces. It also allows me to have a look at things like the brakes and check the brakes and make sure they're okay. But the first thing I've noticed, it's got a set of King springs in the back of it. I'd be really keen to see what size they actually are, so I'll find that out in a minute. I'm going to have a look at all the linkages and bits and pieces and stuff like that, and I can also see, I don't know if you guys can see in there, it's got a diff leak, and I'm pretty sure it's been a bit short on oil for a while, so let's get it cleaned up and see what we've got. Alright, well, you've seen me poking around in here doing a few little bits and pieces and stuff like that. The reason I clean the coils up and I clean the shock absorbers up, I just like things to look neat and clean. It's the same reason why I painted the hub here. There's nothing worse than going to a car show and seeing a car with a nice set of wheels and you're looking at the brake rotor and it's got surface rust. So while you're here, you paint the caliper, and all you have to do is paint it black. This is not heat-proof paint. This is just normal, regular, cheap shop 5-star paint. Doesn't always last forever, but then nothing ever does, and it just keeps it nice and clean. The other thing I've taken off the back of this, and it's been a bit of a bugbear for me, I've seen very few cars that look good with them on them, and that is of course these things, mud flaps. These are genuine Holden mud flaps, which is quite interesting, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but have a look at the wear here. It's always halfway through the Holden logo there, so this thing's been going up and down driveways a fair bit. So, but I'll hang on to those because they're always spare parts, and if you take any parts off of a car that are still serviceable, keep them in a box, so when you sell it you can say to whoever it is, hey look, here's all the parts. Now I found a couple of things in here. I've had a quick look and I can see that it's got 2 uni-drive drive shafts on it, and that says to me at some point in time the CV shafts on this have been replaced, and I think it also has a brand new tail shaft rubber where it goes to the diff. So we're going to go underneath and have a bit of a look underneath, and also we're going to get this oil out because I don't know how much is in there, but this is an LSD and it needs fresh oil. As we head underneath, you'll notice on the back of the Statesman that this piece of the trim at the boot is just, so at the back, is just hanging down a bit. It's got, looks like a loose bolt underneath. I'm going to see if I can tidy that up. And also, if you have a look at this, this looks absolutely disgusting. The tow bar tongue. It's a heavy duty tow bar, but with a car like this, we can clean it up. And at the same time, I'm going to give that rear of the fuel tank a bit of a paint. So if you're looking at it from the back, it just looks nice and clean. Let's have a bit of a look underneath here and see what we've got, and straight away we can see that it all looks pretty standard. Let's see if we can get the light going on here. There we go. It all looks pretty standard. There's that loose bolt just there I was talking about. I'll be able to get that fixed up, no problems at all. The exhaust itself looks like it's in pretty good nick, but it also looks pretty standard. It all looks like it's in good nick, but it just is original. There's our diff leak. We can see the staining around the diff there, so we're going to drop that out, see if we can get all the oil out of that. If I go a bit further, what I like to see is new bolts. Have a look at that, new bolts. That means that rubber doesn't appear to be all that old, which is fantastic. We haven't seen anywhere further forward than that, but that's a really good sign. Having a quick look around here, what else we got? Yeah, it all looks pretty good. If you guys can see anything I can't see, let me know, because I'm certainly, oh, look at that. There's our oil leak right there. Can we see that on the camera? Ugh, oil leak. So that would be slowly leaking, but it has got a diff tag on it. Outstanding. Let's get that diff tag cleaned off and see what we've got. All right, I can already see what that diff tag is going to say, which is awesome. Oh, look at that, LSD, limited slip differential. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Okay, so there sometimes is a tag on the side here. PH something. You guys will be able to tell me what it is. But it's a limited slip diff, that's all that matters. Oh, and I had a quick look here, and you can see in the exhaust, look at that. It's still got the original exhaust on it. How cool is that? So that's a good sign that this is just an original car. Even things like this here, the sway bar bushes, they look like they're in pretty good nick. Certainly serviceable for what we want. All things being equal, I reckon this is actually looking pretty good. Couple little upgrades, starting with popping some oil in this bad boy. So a thing to remember is never ever get rid of your old oil. Always have a bit of a dig around. And when it's a standard diff like that one there, this oil looks like it's containing a little bit of metal and so forth in it. But hey, that's nothing to be too worried about. The next thing is going to be, we just put 2.5 litres of that lovely Penrite gear oil in there. And we're about to find out when we empty this back in, how much actually came out and whether it was low. Now the final verdict on the oil was we were sitting just a bit below 2 litres, and inside the diff was supposed to take just, for want of a better reason, 2.5 litres. So it's probably down 1/2 litre of oil, which is the reason why it was clunking a fair bit, and it probably was making a bit of noise. And until we get it on the road, we're not going to see if it fixed it up. I think I need a bit of oiling. Well, that's the back end of the Statesman done and sorted out. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to have a look at that LSD diff, because that was a factory fitted feature, and you know, it does add value to the car, so you want to maintain and look after it. So I'm glad I've got that oil swapped over. You can see we've got the mud flaps off. We've got obviously the rear end tidied up a lot cleaner. On this side over here, you can see that we took off that plug for the tow bar. I'm not going to use the tow bar, but I can't really get rid of the tow bar. It's part of the back end now. But painted up, cleaned it up, and also that apron underneath, I've just lifted that up a little bit just to give it a neater appearance at the rear of the car. The next stop is obviously going to be to work on the front of the car, but right now let's take it for a ride and have a listen and see if the diff still clunks. All right, well, just before we finish this episode, there is one thing I want to take care of on this car. We're going to do it really quickly. And the problem I've got at the moment is there's too much of a gap right here. I don't like the way it sits. Had a quick look at those King springs that are in the back. They came back as being helper springs, because this used to tow a caravan. So it's sitting up too high at the back. We've got to bring it down. So in order to do that, we need a set of these. And what these are King's Super Lows. They are 40mm lowered springs. So if we put them in the back of this, it should technically bring it down about 50mm. And that's going to bring the edge of this right down onto the tyre. And that's exactly what we need. So what I have to do now is get changed. Next step is going to be to jack this up, get the wheels off. Next up, get the spring out, put the other spring back on, and then put the rim back on. Wheels back on, and we have the spring in place, and bingo. It looks 100% better. All right, let's have a quick look at the difference in the height. On the left-hand side here, we have got the springs I've just taken out. These are what you call ride height support springs from King Springs. And then on the right-hand side here, over here, we have got the super lows, and you can see there's a height difference, and there's also a spring thickness difference. So when it compresses down, this is going to be a much lower spring, this is going to be a much taller spring. This is the one we want. Okay, so we now have a set of lowered springs in the back of the Statesman. It's looking pretty good, but there is something missing from this car, and I think I might have solved it with a Facebook Marketplace purchase. Now, I'm cannonballing on a Sunday morning to try and get there first. We got the first option on it. Let's head north and see if this treasure hunt pays off. I'm a bit excited. I've been following behind this panel van over here, and this guy here, and every set of lights this guy drags. Let's see if he does it. He doesn't like to lose, he likes to be like up. Let's have a look. Here, look. Yeah, look. He's into it. He's into it, the old pano. I think we've done okay, because have a look at this. We have got ourselves a set of 18 by 8 inch 5 by 180 mesh rims. I think they're like a HP style rim. The tyres are absolutely garbage, which is a bit disappointing. They've been sitting for a while. They're Pirelli P0s and they've cracked up, but it is what it is. And also, by the looks of it, someone at some point in time has tried to do a little bit of painting on this one as well. But that's okay. The rims aren't buckled, the rims aren't cracked. There are no issues. We need 4 new tyres and we get to paint them as well. But right now, let's get them cleaned up, let's get them home and get them on. All right, guys, well, that's it for the O2 Garage. This episode is done and dusted. Next episode coming up, though, we've got some rims, we've got some suspension tweaks, and I really think it's time to hit the road and have some fun in this car. So make sure you hit like and subscribe and send us a comment, send us a like, send us whatever you want to send us. Send us some presents for the car, some free parts, it'd be good. See you soon.